Hello, everyone. My name is Courtney, and I'm your facilitator for today. So thank you so much for joining us for the Virtual College Exploration for Ohio students, sponsored by StriveScan and OACAC. If you do have to ask a question throughout the presentation, we ask that you use your Q&A button. Just as a reminder, your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. Make sure that you sign up for additional sessions at www.oacac.org. And just as a reminder, a recording of this session will be available at www.oacac.org. And at the conclusion of this session, there will be a quick survey that we ask you to complete. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and hand it off to our presenters. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Courtney. So excited that you guys are here and wanting to learn a little bit more about Wheaton College. My name is Catherine. I serve as an admissions counselor at Wheaton, and I'm excited to share with you this morning a little bit more about Wheaton and what it could look like for you to consider us in your college search journey. I'm also here with Abby, one of our current students. You'll get to hear from her a little bit later on about her experience at Wheaton as a student. So I actually did graduate from Wheaton myself in 2016. I loved my time as a student. I was a Christian formation and ministry major with an English minor and was involved in a lot of different things that I'm happy to share about as we get going this morning. Additionally, I'm from New Jersey, but loved Wheaton so much and decided to stay in the area after I graduated. So I'm excited to share with you guys. And like Courtney said, feel free to put questions that you have in your Q&A box, and I'd be happy to get those answered for you throughout the presentation. I'll go ahead and get started with what is most important about us. There's really no better way to start talking about Wheaton except to talk about our mission and our vision, the fact that we desire to serve Jesus Christ and to advance his kingdom. And we do that through the integration of our faith and our learning on our campus. We really believe that Christ should be at the center of every space that we have at Wheaton, and this has been true of us since our founding in 1860. Our motto is for Christ and his kingdom, and it really is our prayer that as you consider Wheaton, as you learn about our classes and our extracurriculars and what it could look like for you to be a student, that you would really experience that motto in every interaction that you have with our campus. We are a distinctively Christian college, and so what that means for us is that all of our staff, faculty, and students are committed Christians on our campus. So like I said, in every space you're in, you're going to have the opportunity to be spiritually formed and to walk alongside staff and faculty and peers who are really desiring to grow in their faith while in college. At Wheaton, we have a few different guiding documents that help us to articulate who we are and what we're about, what we believe in, and how we want our campus to be characterized. We have a statement of faith that is affirmed annually by all of our staff and faculty. And we also have a community covenant. This is something that as an applicant to Wheaton, you would read and commit to as part of your application process. It's mostly made up of scripture. So it really is just our vision for what living the Christian life together as a campus community looks like. And it's our prayer that it would create an environment of grace and challenge and support as we kind of learn to live alongside one another. I would attribute the friendships that I built my freshman year in the residence halls largely due to the fact that I knew we were all committed to the same type of community together. We also have a Christ-centered diversity commitment. For us, it really is our prayer that we would, as a campus, continue to look more like the kingdom of God. We believe that the values of inclusion and justice, diversity, unity, all of those things are central to the greatest commandments and therefore central to our college's mission. So we're really striving to look more like Jesus as a campus and to look more like the body of Christ. That's a little bit about kind of the mission and vision and the faith aspects of Wheaton. I want to talk a little bit also about our student body. This is some information for our fall 2019 class. They started in the fall of 2019. They're current sophomores, so you'll hear a little bit from Abby. She's a sophomore this year, and they come from 41 states and almost 40 countries. They are about 30% domestic students of color, and then an additional 16% students coming from an overseas context in some way. And then 70% plus of them come from outside of the state of Illinois. So if you're from Ohio, right, you're not going to be the only one that's coming from outside of Illinois. Within our whole student body, so we have 2,400 students on our campus. We have all 50 states represented and over 90 countries as well. So it's an amazing student body to get to be a part of because you get to build friendships with people from all over the world. For a school our size, it's rare to have that type of global draw. So we're really excited for the opportunities our students have to build friendships with students who have a ton of different backgrounds and life experiences from them. Coming from New Jersey, I kind of thought I was going to be like the only one from far away, but when I got to campus, I realized that that was actually true for most students, and it really does change the commitment to campus, the investment in the community, just because students come to Wheaton and they make it their home, right? We're not a campus where students go home on the weekends because oftentimes they're too far away to do that. And so there's so much happening on campus all the time. Students are really, invested in what's going on. We have a retention rate of 95%. So this is the percentage of first-year students that return for a second year. It's an indication of student satisfaction. It tells you, did a student love their experience their first year? Do they want to come back? Can they afford to come back, right? Those are two big reasons why sometimes students transfer, but we're really not seeing that happen at Wheaton. You can see that our retention rate is significantly higher than the national average of 61%. What's great about this is that it means that the people that you meet your first few weeks of your freshman year, you're going to see them again your sophomore year. You're going to have the opportunity to build friendships with them. So I think that really speaks to the commitment and the stability of our student body. I want to introduce you to some alumni of the college so you can kind of catch a vision for who our students are. This is Emily. She's from Appleton, Wisconsin. She was a double major in math and physics. And she chose Wheaton because we offered her everything she was looking for: high caliber academics, Christ-centered community, proximity to Chicago. This is Chloe from Detroit, Michigan. She was an English literature major with an ESL concentration. She also went on to get her accelerated master's in teaching from us. And when she came to visit campus, it was the people she met that really helped her to decide that she wanted to come to Wheaton. She loved meeting both students and professors. And this is Andrew from Hutchinson, Minnesota. He was a chemistry major, got a Bible and theology minor, and he knew that he wanted to major in the physical sciences in college, but also wanted a place where he could grow in his faith, where he'd get that Christian perspective in the classroom. And so Wheaton was a perfect fit for him because it had the strong academics he was looking for, but also the faith commitment that he wanted as well. Moving on to academics, so we're the premier Christian liberal arts college in the country. You have an opportunity to receive a top-tier liberal arts education if you choose to come to Wheaton. We offer 40 plus different majors and programs through our College of Arts and Sciences, as well as our Conservatory of Music. So if you're interested in a professional music degree, that's definitely available through our conservatory. Or if you just want to be involved in music, maybe take a lesson in a new instrument, for example, right? There's lots of ways to get involved in music at Wheaton, even if you don't want to be a music major. And as a liberal arts college, we have a general education curriculum that we call Christ at the Core. We love the liberal arts because it really trains our students to think critically, communicate effectively, listen well, ask good questions, write well, right? All of the skills that employers are looking for, no matter what major you have, no matter what career you pursue upon graduation. So the liberal arts helps you to be well-rounded as you kind of take classes in different subject areas and learn how to connect different disciplines to one another. And the great thing about getting to do that at a Christian college is that you get to put Christ at the center of your study and allow your faith to inform your understanding of that discipline and the different disciplines that you're learning about. So our gen ed curriculum, Christ at the Core, allows students to talk about faith and vocation and how those things relate to different subjects. Additionally, what we love about our gen ed curriculum is that you have a lot of choice in the classes that you select. So sometimes I talk with students who are really excited to get their gen eds out of the way and just focus on their major classes, which is totally fair. But I think the great thing about our program is that you actually have a lot of choices in the classes that you select. You can tailor even your gen ed courses towards things that you're passionate about or interested in, even while you're getting to study a wide variety of things. One example of this is your first semester on campus, you'll take a first year seminar course. It's a small 15 to 20 person class, and you actually have like over 30 to 40 different options to choose from, all taught by different faculty members, all in different subject areas. So already your very first gen ed course, you have a lot of different choices to pick from when it comes to your intro class on campus. I'd also really love to talk about our faculty. Our faculty are amazing. They are experts in their field. Oftentimes they've written the books for the classes that you're taking. But what's even better than that is that they really love the mission of the college. And so they care about you beyond just the homework that you might have for their class or the subject matter that they teach. They really want to get to know you as a whole person, and they're really committed to mentoring you and guiding you in your college years. You can see here that our average class size is 20 students, and our student to teacher ratio is 10 to 1. So you are going to have the opportunity inside of class to get to know your professor as well. But what's awesome is that there's a lot of space outside of class where they're going to intentionally invest in your life too. So that could be through office hours, through grabbing a meal with them in the dining hall. But I've also been to like most of my professors' homes. They've cooked me dinner. I've spent time with their families. So they really do want to open up their lives to our students and get to walk alongside you while you're at Wheaton. You can see here our average academic profile for our accepted students at Wheaton. I don't show this to say like, this is exactly what your application needs to look like or the only thing that we're looking for. We have a really holistic application review process. We know that you're more than just one number, and we want to get to know all the different pieces of who you are. So I share this rather to give you an idea of what the classroom environment will be like at Wheaton if you choose to come here. So our students love learning, they're prepared for college, but they also want to lean into a new level of academic challenge at Wheaton. So they're really excited for that part of their college experience. And oftentimes their learning at Wheaton propels them into further study beyond graduation. I'd love to share a little bit about like what life at Wheaton could look like for you day to day, some of the things that happen outside of the classroom. We are an NCAA Division III athletic school, so we have about 21 different varsity sports. Athletics is a really fun part of campus. We also have club teams and intramurals, so it's a great space to get involved or cheer on your friends. And what's fun is that our varsity teams are really good. They win a lot, so it's a really fun environment to get to go and watch your friends participate in athletics. We have over 100 different student groups and activities available to join, so there's so much to choose from. There's something for everybody. What I love about our student groups is that you're always going to have like a faculty or staff leader and mentor who can kind of help guide you in that process. I feel like some of the ways that I grew the most at Wheaton was through student activities and different leadership opportunities that I had, through having staff mentors who helped me to see my strengths and my weaknesses, what I was good at, how the Lord was kind of shaping me and growing me to be more like him. So those were some of my favorite experiences at Wheaton. We're very residential. So 90% of our students live on campus all 4 years. So we're really, really invested in what's happening on campus. There are a lot of different on-campus options to choose from, which is partially why our students love living on campus. So we have 2 different first-year residence halls. We have an upperclassmen residence hall. We have on-campus apartments and on-campus houses. So there's a lot to choose from as you go throughout your time at Wheaton. And like I said earlier, students, because they come from so far away, they really come to campus, are invested in what's happening residentially at Wheaton. I also should definitely mention our dining hall. The food is really good. So we're nationally ranked every year for our food. There's a lot of variety. It changes every day. So that was one thing I appreciated. I didn't feel like I was eating the same food every day in the dining hall. And we also have one main dining hall on campus. So you're always going to see people that you know. It's a great space for hanging out with friends and building community. It's locally sourced, organic. Most of it's made right there from scratch. So the food is awesome. And I really loved spending time in the dining hall as a student. We also have a lot of opportunities for spiritual formation on campus. Kind of the main rhythm of that in terms of student life is chapel. So we have chapel Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's a kind of 30-40 minute time in the morning during those days, and there's nothing else going on campus at that time. So if you're ever on campus around then, you'll see the whole student body headed to chapel. Obviously, it looks a little bit different right now, but what I love is that there's a lot of variety to chapels. So we will always spend time in prayer, reading scripture together, spending time in worship, but we bring in different speakers from all over the world. You get to hear from different faculty or different student groups. So there's a lot of variety in what chapel looks like day to day. But even beyond that, there's a lot of opportunities for spiritual formation. So small groups, Bible studies, discipleship opportunities, mentorship, right? That's happening in all of our spaces. So we're located about 25 miles west of Chicago. So definitely nestled in the suburbs. There's a really awesome downtown Wheaton area within walking distance with coffee shops, parks, places to study, things like that. But we also have a train stop right on campus. So it's about a 40-minute ride to Chicago. So obviously Chicago is an amazing city with a ton of opportunities and ways for our students to engage in the city. And so we love having, the train so accessible for our students. But even beyond kind of our local area, there's a ton of ways to get involved in abroad opportunities. So we have both semester and summer study abroad options, both domestic and international. So there's something for everyone. You can go into our study abroad office and meet with somebody one-on-one and say, like, I want to study this in this part of the world, and they can help you find a program that's a good fit for you. I love our summer programs. They're often led by our own Wheaton faculty, attended by Wheaton students. So if you get on campus and you never want to leave, the summer options are really great to still kind of get that abroad experience and to do that alongside other Wheaton students. I want to talk a little bit about how kind of Wheaton launches our students into the world beyond graduation. We have an amazing Center for Vocation and Career that helps our students think through their skills and their gifts and how the Lord might be leading them beyond college. We have career coaches who specialize in different majors and areas of interest. So you can meet with a career coach who has an idea of, okay, what types of internships or other practical experiences have students done in the past that share my major or share my interests? We also have events based upon kind of where you're at in your vocational journey. So I feel like when we talk about career centers, we talk a lot about seniors, right? And the types of things that we can offer them, like resume edits or interview prep or job searching help, which is all true. We offer all of those resources. But what I love about our career center is that you can get involved and get to know them from your very first day on campus. We offer different events throughout your whole time at Wheaton. So your first year, we talk a lot about your strengths and your weaknesses and your passions and how those things could end up aligning with a job after graduation. For our sophomores, for example, they do a semester-long series of events that's all culminated in officially declaring your major. So there's a lot of really fun things that we do for students throughout your time at Wheaton. We also have amazing alumni connections. So we love our alumni and they also love connecting with current students. So the Career Center does a really good job connecting our students together. One example of this is every February we have an externship day. It's a day where we invite local alums to host our students at their workplace for the day. So as a student, you get to go job shadow for a day, get to meet another Wheaton grad, and make those connections that can help propel you to a job after graduation. So it's just one example that we connect with our alum. What's fun is that we actually were recently ranked in an article that Forbes did as number 13 in the whole country out of all universities in terms of how their alumni rate their experience at Wheaton. So our alumni love their Wheaton experience, and I think that's one of the big reasons why they want to give back and connect with our current students. You can see our graduation rates here, significantly higher, both 4-year and 6-year, than the national average. And we have a landed rate of 99%. So this is the percentage of students within 6 months of graduation who are in their desired next step after college. So whether that be grad school, job, military service, whatever it might be, you can be confident that when you choose to come to Wheaton, you're going to be equipped for life after college. We'll meet a few more alum. This is Kirsten from Minnesota. She was an interdisciplinary studies major. She focused in political science, theater, and gender studies. We actually have the #1 IDS program in the country. So if you're interested in what that could look like for you, yeah, we'd be happy to answer questions about our IDS program. She's currently a freelance theater artist in DC. And she says this about her Wheaton experience: "My field is highly relational, and Wheaton taught me the importance of listening well, asking for help, using words to encourage and speak truth, and being generous whenever possible. Those are the skills that have gotten me work again and again." This is Leonard from St. Louis. He was a communication major with a rhetoric concentration. He currently works as a business coach at Salesforce. And he really grew in confidence. He actually reached out to a 95 Wheaton alum that helped him to kind of envision what a career in tech could look like for him, and really challenged him to go for it. And that's how he ended up landing his job at Salesforce. This is Anna. She's from Pennsylvania. She's a geology major, and she's currently in her last year of her PhD at Colorado School of Mines. She's studying hydrology. And Wheaton really prepared her with the scientific and the writing skills to be successful in her science career. But it also taught her how to integrate her faith to her science and to her everyday life. And for her, that's really helped to make her an effective Christian in the world. I want to talk a little bit about kind of where Wheaton stands, maybe in comparison to other schools you're considering or other schools we're typically compared to. I feel like it's helpful to have an idea of, okay, if I choose Wheaton, what am I getting in return, right? What's the investment that I'm making? What value am I receiving? I feel like that's really helpful to know. We're ranked by Kiplinger as 27th in best values in liberal arts colleges in the country. We're also ranked by US News and World Report on their top tier liberal arts colleges list. So we're ranked 58th on that list. We're actually the only distinctively Christian college, even in the top 100, according to US News and World Report. We're also a member college in an organization called Colleges That Change Lives. CTCL was originally a book, is now a nonprofit organization. It's made up of schools that have shown to be transformational in students' lives through their experiences there. So we're one of those 45 schools, again, the only distinctively Christian college as a member college of CTCL. And then finally, we're consistently ranked as a best college for your money, according to Money Magazine. So what we're seeing is that Wheaton is sitting at this really unique intersection between all of these different college rankings. You have the opportunity to receive a top tier liberal arts academic experience. You also get to do that within a distinctively Christian environment. There's no other school that can say those two things together. So we really do believe that what we have to offer is unique, and want to talk to you a little bit about what it could look like for you, and how we make that accessible and affordable in the college search process. So I want to talk a little bit about financial aid and scholarships, what that looks like for us here at Wheaton. You can see on the left-hand side our 2020-2021 costs. Tuition just over $39,000, room and board just under $11,000. So you're looking at a total full tuition, room and board cost of just under $50,000 a year. Now, most students don't pay that full ticket price. We definitely want to make Wheaton accessible through financial aid and scholarships. I do like to share kind of where we stand in comparison to other schools. So if you take a look at Christian schools in the country, we kind of fall in the middle range of tuition costs out of those group of schools. If you take a look at the top 75 liberal arts colleges, we actually fall on the lowest end of tuition costs out of that group of schools. Definitely not trying to minimize the big investment that college is, the big investment that Wheaton is, but rather wanting to emphasize that we're doing everything we can to keep that cost low compared to a lot of those other top tier schools. And you can see that our students, even when they take out student debt and loans from the college, they do an amazing job paying that back. They're really equipped to do that. And you can see the average debt that they graduate from Wheaton with, that's just under the national average of about $28,000. In terms of scholarships, we offer $34 million in grants and scholarships each year to students and families. We offer generous need-based financial aid, so we would definitely encourage everybody to submit the FAFSA to be considered for obviously governmental and federal aid, but then also Wheaton-specific need-based aid as well. And then we also offer a variety of different merit scholarships. So we have presidential scholarships. These are academic awards that range from $10,000 to $16,000 a year. What's great about these scholarships is that there is no separate application process. So simply by applying to Wheaton, you'll be automatically considered for these scholarships. We also offer multicultural scholarships. We have full tuition scholarships for Black and African American students, as well as Hispanic and Latinx students as well. We also offer music scholarships for our Conservatory applicants and ROTC scholarships if you're interested in Army participation in college and beyond. So those are some kind of financial aid and scholarships that we offer. I would love for you guys to hear from some grads one more time before I talk a little bit about the application process. This is Isaiah from Seattle. He was a double major in philosophy and ancient languages. He says this about his Wheaton experience. Wheaton challenged me not to settle with easy answers to life's pressing questions. I also had professors who were deeply involved in my life, both on an academic and a personal level. This is Anna. She was an international relations and French major, and she says, I grew holistically at Wheaton. Beyond my academic and vocational growth, my spiritual habits were deepened. I became a more Christ-like friend, and I gained a more meaningful relationship with Jesus that informs my day-to-day decisions and my long-term goals. And finally, Hannah. Hannah grew up in China. Her parents were missionaries there. She was an anthropology major with a gender studies certificate. And she says, I learned so much about who I am, who God is, and how to live in right relationship with the world and with the people around me. Wheaton created me to be the person that I am today. I definitely feel that way. I know that many of our alums feel that way about their experience at Wheaton. I want to talk a little bit about some next steps that you can take with us in the process of considering Wheaton. If you're a senior, obviously we'd really encourage you to apply. We have a couple of different deadlines. Our early action deadlines are October 15th and November 15th. So you can still apply early action if you submit your application by the 15th of November. There's no, it's not a binding round. It really just gives you your decision back a lot earlier. So if you apply by November 15th, you'll hear back from us before Christmas. We also have regular decision rounds of January 15th and February 15th. Any transfer students, I actually work with all transfer students, so I'd love to connect with you if you have questions about the transfer process. We have some priority deadlines listed here, but we really are kind of a rolling admissions process when it comes to our transfer students. So I'm super flexible and would love to chat about that. We also have a ton of other ways that you can connect with us. You can see our main admissions email is admissions@wheaton.edu. And there are a lot of different ways that you can visit us right now, both in person and virtually. So our students are in person right now, mostly taking classes, and we're really excited to have them on campus. And if you want to do an in-person visit with us, we have some limited in-person tour options available. But we have a ton of virtual options as well. So you can go to wheaton.edu/visit to learn about those. We offer a session like this with admissions counselors. You can meet one-on-one with admissions counselors or one-on-one with faculty members as well. And we can always get you connected to a current student as well. So those are some ways that you can connect with us virtually. But I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that we can talk with Abby and hear a little bit more about her Wheaton experience. Hi, Abby. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. Just to get started, I'd love to hear a little bit about you, kind of where you're from, what you're majoring in, what life at Wheaton looks like. And then if you could tell me why you ended up choosing Wheaton in your college process, I feel like that'll be a good place to start.
Yeah. Hi, guys. I guess I can't see you, but you can see me. So good morning. My name's Abby Wilson. So I'm a sophomore here at Wheaton. I'm originally from Warsaw, Indiana, so still from the Midwest. And why I chose Wheaton? There are quite a few reasons. You don't want to pick a college just in like one reason. So like our cafeteria is great, but there are lots of other things. So why I chose Wheaton. My major is international relations, so I think it was really important for me to have a Christian education with that. I think that the way that we see the world is really informed by our beliefs about it. So I think having professors and fellow classmates who are also Christian was really important for me and kind of shaping my worldview. So when we're talking about international conflicts and wars, kind of talking about why that happens, why that grieves us so much to see injustice in the world, and why we respond to it in the way that we do, I think it was really important to have that Christian background. Wheaton also has a lot of very specialized programs. So international relations is a pretty general major, which I really like. But they also have a master's program for humanitarian disaster leadership. And I'm interested in stuff like that. So just a lot of, and I actually was able to go on a trip for spring break with that master's program. So even as an undergrad, if there are master's programs that you're interested in, there's kind of ways to get involved in that. And I think it also is just a reflection of Wheaton's heart for worldwide ministries, for global ministries. Yeah, I really liked that. I also really like the community that I felt here. I think it's kind of evident just walking around, kind of when we ate in the cafeteria, just me and my parents, like obviously it felt a little weird because normally at school, you know, I didn't eat in the cafeteria with my parents. But it was good to see students kind of eating together and they looked really happy. Whereas some of the other schools I visited, the cafeteria seems very much like a place to kind of get in, get out. And, you know, there are days like that. There are days where you can do that. You know, you don't have to sit down, but kind of just this atmosphere of like meals are a very social thing and you can kind of develop community through that. I also really liked the proximity to Chicago. So I really like big cities, but I wasn't sure if I really wanted to live in one. I think there's a difference between getting all the fun of a big city, but still having kind of the comfort of a more like residential area. So I think Wheaton is perfect for that because the train is really convenient, not having to deal with city traffic, but just kind of walking over to the train station and going there. So I think that was really fun for me. And not only is it like fun to go to the city, there's lots of opportunities like the externship day, which was just like I got to shadow someone who started a nonprofit in downtown Chicago, and that was really, I think, a beneficial and a fun experience for me. So lots of reasons why I chose Wheaton. So
awesome, that's great. So yeah, kind of building off of some of those things, tell me a little bit about like what faith life has looked like for you at Wheaton, or how you've grown spiritually through your time as a student.
I think a lot of my spiritual growth has come from just kind of losing the foundation of who I thought I was. Like a lot of my foundation, I would say, would be like family, friends from high school, activities I was involved in either at my home church or my high school. So I think just the very act of moving away for college really kind of ripped out a lot of the things that I mistakenly put my identity in. And so I think I was really happy to be at Wheaton in a time like that, because then I think at every turn where I was sort of confused, every turn it was just redirecting towards really healthy counsel, healthy wisdom. And so I think, you know, we're in this time where I was kind of trying to figure out like who I want to be. And I mean, I'm still figuring it out. I don't think everyone ever like creates a resolute answer. That was just really redirected towards Christ. And so I think I saw that in a lot of my classes. Professors just are really, I went to public high school, and a lot of times teachers aren't really like allowed to bring their religion into the classroom, at least not to like a very large extent. And so I think having professors who would like pray in class every day was just like a big shock to me, but I love it. I love getting to talk to professors about both my academics and my spiritual life. And so they just sort of integrate that into the classroom. So I think as I was sort of like away from everything I had known before, I was really just like reminded of God's love for me in every single context that I was in. So in the classroom, a lot of, you know, all my friends here are Christians, and so they sort of were a very healthy community and showed me what I think like love is supposed to look like. And I think I'd experienced that before, but it's just nice to feel really comfortable, kind of feel like I would consider Wheaton also like a home. Like when I come back to the dorm room, I refer to it as coming home. So I think like they've really shown me what it's like to love each other in the body of Christ. And also our chapels, it's 3 times a week. And so just having that experience with everyone that you go to school with, you get to worship God with, I think that's a really impactful thing. And I think also finding my own church on Sunday mornings. I had grown up in the same church for like 18 years. And so finding one on my own was a really new experience. But I think both worshiping in chapel with all the other Wheaton students and finding a church has kind of expanded my view of what it means to worship and serve God. It's not just sort of this one cookie cutter thing, that it's really like God is greater than our understanding. And so there's so many ways to pursue him. So I think the biggest part of like spiritual formation here is you're just kind of immersed in it, which I think is really healthy, because I think there's a beauty in like intentionally seeking out time with God, and you still need to do that. But like on top of that, at every turn, you're sort of redirected to him, which is really healthy in a time where, at least for me, I felt like a lot was changing, and especially now with COVID, everything's changing. It's just nice to live in a place where at every turn you're sort of redirected towards truth very clearly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. I totally resonate with that experience in classes. Like I grew up in public school my whole life too, and I like vividly remember my very first class at Wheaton was with Dr. Johnson. Actually, it was like an intro kind of seminar, and he like opened class in prayer, and then we started talking about our faith, and I was just like in shock in like the best way. But yeah, I totally resonate with that. I want to talk a little bit more about academics. Like, tell me about some things you love about academics at Wheaton. Maybe if you have a favorite class or professor, like I'd love to hear a little bit about, yeah, your academic experience.
Yeah, to start with like a general answer, I love the professors at Wheaton. They're very focused on relationships with students. So it's not like they always teach their own classes. It's not like a TA will teach your class for you, which I think is really beneficial. And they're really, like I had office hours, like I had a meeting with a professor this week, and probably the first half was going over like a test I had taken. And then the second half was just like us talking, I guess. He like asked where I was from. And so it's just kind of like you get to have a relationship with them, which I think is really important, because then when you have questions, it's less intimidating to seek them out. So that's kind of like a general thing I love about the classes here. Probably my favorite class I took actually my freshman year, called Global Justice, which is a philosophy class. I think that's another thing about Wheaton is you have to take classes that are outside your major a little bit. So I probably would have never taken a philosophy class had I not had to, if I'm being honest, but it ended up being my favorite class. And you do kind of, with our gen eds, you get to sort of tailor them towards your interests. So yes, I had to take a philosophy class, but I chose one that was more globally focused since I'm international relations. But Global Justice was just like a really relaxed class. Like it was a small class, probably like 15 of us. We just sat in a circle, and like we would do our readings, and then we just kind of like discuss them the next day. And so there was some open discussion, but the professor also like had us like go in a circle and share, which sometimes, it was my first semester here, so I was like a little intimidated to speak in class. So it was like really nice to like be given the floor, for lack of a better word, very distinctly. I thought it was really good for me to be able to discuss. But we just talked about sort of human rights and the philosophy behind them. And it was really nice to be in a classroom of people who also shared my same faith, because yes, like most people agree on certain human rights, but then to say like, why are these so important? And like, we think they're important because people are created in the image of God. So to kind of have that foundation in the class sort of like further both like understanding the philosophy, but also how our faith integrates with it. So that was probably my favorite class. I'm also in Old Testament right now, and that's probably one of my favorite professors. He's just he's very intentional about how he interacts with students. And so I know we took a test on Friday, and I didn't feel like I did as well. So I emailed him that night because I like wanted to do that before I got to the fun stuff of the weekend. And he like emailed me back on a Saturday. So like, you know, he's not in the office, but he responds. And I found that to be pretty true of professors, that they're really there to help you. And so even though Old Testament, like it's a very interesting class, but it's not like, it's not in my major, so I won't say it's like very specific to me, but also, you know, the Bible is very important. So I also enjoy it because of that. I think just like the professor's intentionality in working with us has been really impactful to me. And I think also you get to learn stuff that you're not even taking classes for. So my roommate's in an intro to law class. And so I feel like I've learned so much about law. My other roommate, I'm in a triple dorm room, which is kind of rare, but my other roommate's also in a class about the author of Little Women. They came out with a film recently. And so I've learned a lot about that book. So I think there's also like with community here, you get to learn even about classes that you're not even taking. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like I find that at Wheaton, like the conversations like in chapel or in the classroom, right, like carry on outside of those spaces with friends and roommates and things like that. So yeah, I think that's definitely true. Tell me a little bit about maybe, some things you're involved in outside the classroom or ways that you spend your time outside of academics.
So yeah, this year looks a little different, both because of COVID, but also just because it being a new year and I like trying new things. So freshman year, I was in a DSG, which is a discipleship small group. They're floor-based, so you get to know people in your floor really well. So I really enjoyed that last year. We met like for an hour once a week, so it's pretty low time commitment, but it's kind of a way to like further develop floor relationships and kind of have like you have a built-in like deep spiritual conversation every week, which I think is really healthy. And those conversations happen outside of the group too, but it's nice to have it built into the schedule too. So I did that. I also did the cheer team. I've never cheered before, but I wanted to make friends, and so I did it. And some of my best friends, like my current roommate, I met through that team. I also did a global engagement committee. So student government has a lot of like traditional roles that you can fill, but they also have committees. So they can have like a sustainability committee. And then I was on global engagement. So we worked on, we did a newsletter for students who were studying abroad to like welcome them back to campus, make them feel welcome. We also were working on helping refugees be able to come to campus this year, creating opportunities for them. So I got to do that. I really enjoyed that, to be able to kind of do work that I felt like impacted others outside of the campus. And then last year and this year, I am on the debate team. And so I'd also never debated in high school. I didn't know that you could debate in high school, but apparently that's a thing. My high school didn't have it. So yeah, I expected debate to kind of just be like an extra like academic thing, but it actually has turned into like a big friendship thing for me. I've really liked the team, and it is like something that I think has really developed like critical thinking. But we also we normally get to travel quite a bit, which is fun. This year's a little different. All of our tournaments are through Zoom, which is interesting, but I mean we're making the most of it, and it's still very fun. Like last year we got to go to Boston. I know that some of the team gets to travel internationally. I haven't gotten the opportunity to do that yet, but I'm also a sophomore, so hopefully in the future sometime. But yes, there's just lots of ways to get involved on campus. And I also have tried most clubs. I went to one day of Taekwondo Club, and it's a great club if you love Taekwondo. I just never done it before and felt very underqualified, but they're very kind. So if that's something you want to learn, like you can go and they would teach you everything. Yeah, so I think that getting involved outside the classroom is something that most students do. And it's a really good way to meet people and just kind of expand your interests. Like I've done a lot of things I've never done before, and it's just been a really fun experience for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Abby. Maybe just one like final question before we wrap up. I'd love to hear like your advice, I guess, for seniors or people in the college search process. Like, what would you say? Yeah, advice you have for them, even maybe as they're considering Wheaton for their college, years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember being a senior and a junior in high school, and I was very stressed about college, if I'm being honest. But I also was not very on top of the college search. So just by coming to this meeting today, you're probably far ahead of where I was at your time. So good job to you guys. So yeah, if you're feeling stressed, that's okay, that's natural. But also hopefully you're relieved that by taking action this early, you're doing well. I would say that if you're considering Wheaton, to apply early. I applied pretty late, and so it kind of made me feel a little more rushed in my decision. And if you don't apply now and you apply later, like that obviously works because that worked for me, and now I'm here and I love it here. But if you have the option, maybe apply early. There are ways to kind of meet people on campus before you come and kind of make a more well-informed decision. But yeah, I would say mainly just it is a very stressful time to try to kind of savor high school. I don't know if you're like ready to get out of high school, ready to leave that behind you, or you think you're really gonna miss it. But just try to make the most of it. I don't know what that'll look like for you because everyone's high school experience is different, but just kind of enjoy where you're at. Like just because high school is like nearing its end doesn't mean it's not important to be invested there. But there are also lots of things to be excited about for college. So when you're feeling stressed, I encourage you to think about like trying to channel it into excitement. Like, yes, it's a very stressful process and like big decisions need to be made, but it's also like a really exciting thing that you get to study things you're passionate about and you get to meet people from all over the country and all over the world when you come to college. So I think just trying to like remember the excitement of the college search. But yeah, and so I mean, if you come to Wheaton, I'd love to meet you. I mean, I'll be here. So, but if you don't, I mean, I think that God has a place for all of us, and so I just encourage you to pray, and I know that we'll be praying for you, and so just really hoping that you feel peace and that you're really happy with your decisions. So
awesome. Thanks, Abby. Thanks so much, guys. I'm so glad that you got a chance to learn a little bit more about Wheaton and get to hear from Abby. We're really excited, and I'm gonna turn it back over to Courtney now. So
thank you so much. I have a few things to share before we end today. Oops. So again, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Just one reminder is that there will be a quick survey after you close this window. There are several other sessions that are scheduled throughout the fall, so make sure you check those out at www.oacac.org. And as an additional reminder, we will have all of the sessions recorded and available at www.oacac.org. Thank you so much, Catherine and Abby, for joining us today, and have a great day. See ya.